Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, Mike's Instant Movie Review. Just saw Arcadian. Should you see it, should you not? Nicolas Cage, dystopian, end of the world type of movie. I think it's worth seeing. I mean, it's not Citizen Kane, and it's not an instant classic, but it's an enjoyable ride of dystopian nature if you're into that type of thing. I mean, it's basically the storyline is this guy has two sons. It's pretty much post-apocalypse, not in a nuclear war sense, but in a kind of an interesting environmental slash disease situation. We've seen movies like this before, but this one has some interesting slants, so I thought it was a good movie. Not too long. So now I'll get into the spoilers. If you want to stick around, stick around. So Nicolas Cage is having a bit of a career resurgence in recent years. Maybe 3 years ago, he had a movie where he basically played himself, hired as a kind of a celebrity to go to some fucking island and do some shit with some asshole rich guy. And ever since then, he's kind of had this renaissance, Nicolas Cage renaissance, doing a lot more films than we had seen previously. And so this one was fine. I mean, it was good. He's got these sons. I guess they're twin sons. There's no mom in sight. I guess she was killed. And the creatures in this film, in case you've already seen it, the creatures were not the best. They were not the worst. They were certainly creepy. But the CGI or FX or whatever were not the utmost best, but they were passable. It did kind of feel like they were a little bit outdated. They didn't feel real, but I mean, they were still creepy, which is the point, and freaky. There's a point of insight when one of the sons has his little girlfriend, Charlotte, there, and she has this little game of, let's describe how the world ended, and we get some hints to the reality of the situation for these people, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of up to our imagination. I mean, I suppose if the world really did end, or if most of humanity got wiped out, people wouldn't really know. I guess I'll go inside the vehicle now. I was trying to be all cool and edgy and do this by the fucking spotlight, but the goddamn audio is not going to be very good. So we'll go inside. Oh, for Christ's sakes. What else? Let's discuss. I'll put some light on the situation so you can see my smiling face. I did like that this movie was about an hour and 35 minutes. I think that's a good length for a movie like this. I think, God fucking Christ. Just looking for my lighting system and I can't find it. So you always have these things in your fucking hand, but when you are looking for them, you can't find them. Here we go. So I thought the movie was good. The kid actors, the teenage actors, 3 of them, the girl and the 2 sons, they'll probably be in many things to come. I'm sure they'll all have wonderful fucking... It was fine. It's one of these things where you see this movie and... this is the test of a movie like this. It's the balance of the character development and do we care about these characters and the stress that they're going through? Do we have empathy or sympathy or whatever the fuck P? Or do we just not give a shit? And I think a movie like this, the characters were well developed enough that I did care. There was a movie a few days ago that I saw. I think it was the Abigail movie. If you watch my review on that, where I didn't feel that, the characters were developed enough to care about. So when they start, hashtag dying, nobody cares. In this one, I did care. Okay? What else? The Counting Crows, the band, was listed in the end credits, which I thought was interesting. I don't recall hearing a Counting Crows song in the movie. The movie was filmed in Ireland, of all places, which I thought was interesting. It did remind me of kind of like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I think it was M. Night Shyamalan's 3rd major film release that he directed, which I believe was Signs with Mel Gibson, and I think Joaquin Phoenix was in that one. And I think that's when, in my opinion, M. Night Shyamalan's film started to drop off in quality. I don't think Signs was as good as his previous works, which I believe off the top of my head were The Sixth Sense and then Unbreakable. And I think Signs was the third. And I think most people still like that one, but I thought it was a dip in creativity and a dip for him, Shyamalan. And when I saw this movie, I was wondering, is this an M. Night Shyamalan movie? But I don't think it was, but it kind of felt like it, because the alien creatures at the end, the quality of them and just kind of the design felt like M. Night Shyamalan-esque. But, you know. What else? I mean, this movie is fine. I mean, it's serviceable. It's functionable. I did make a point of seeing it tonight. I think this was the last night in the theater, at least around here. I think there's so many movies coming out. We're gearing up for a summer of blockbusters once a fucking again. The big movie coming up this weekend apparently is Challengers. This watch, Zendaya fuck two guys movie and play tennis. So that's the big thing that everyone's going to hashtag and whatever the fuck about. And I don't know what other big movies are playing. I think Godzilla and King Kong is still dragging along. I mean, see that? Godzilla and King Kong really had awesome special effects. I was happy that I saw that in the IMAX 3D. My favor is kind of turning back to IMAX these days. Recently saw this wonderful horror film I never saw before, Hereditary, in IMAX. It was not in 3D, but I enjoyed that. You can see my review. So this movie, this Nicolas Cage thing, I mean, it's a good one. It's like a 3.5-er. It's out of 5. I think the thing for me that I wouldn't say this is like the greatest goddamn movie of the year or whatever the fuck, or even the month. It's just some of the things that we've seen in other films we see in this. Like the end of the world, there's these creatures coming to kill all the humans. What are we going to do? We have to bond together. Yet at times we can't stand each other, especially the two sons, the brothers can't stand each other. One of them gets the girl, one of them doesn't, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it's fine. I mean, it's no skin off my ass. The movie was good. It was serviceable. I enjoyed it, but it's not going to rewrite the story of my life. I've got my own things to worry about. I'm currently not reading this book, but it's sitting here mocking me. It's just sitting here. It's one of these books you pick up and you're like, oh, I should read that. You never fucking do. But eventually I might not. Still, I'm feverishly rewriting my own book, Fight or Play Basketball. Yes, you can purchase that on Amazon. And also just doing wonderful things with my art, with my endeavors. One Man and a Camera Films, etc. One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan. All the wonderful things I'm doing. Hopefully, we won't have this epidemic of strange monsters. I was trying to understand if the creatures in this movie, Arcadian, I think it was, are they pollution monsters? Is that the idea? Is like we polluted the earth so much that the earth generated these pollution creatures? It's kind of an interesting concept. They didn't really go that far because from the perspective of the film people, the characters, they don't really know what the hell's going on. Also, I must admit, I come into the fucking theater. Nobody took my digital ticket. All the people there were just fucking around. So I just went right into the auditorium. And then when I got into the auditorium, I was the only one in the auditorium. And I've been in this situation before where my, phone camera ticket didn't get zapped. And I'm the only one in the theater and I'm watching the movie, and 10 or 20 minutes into the movie stops. Because I think what happens is, if the computer does not get a zap that someone's actually in the auditorium, there's a percentile chance that the movie automatically shuts down. So you can't be a smart guy, and if you've bought the ticket like I have properly, if these people don't zap your fucking digital ticket, it's kind of upon you, the customer, to go get your fucking ticket zapped. Otherwise, as I painfully discovered last summer, it was actually the Spider-Man animation film that this happened to me, this travesty. the film shuts down. And then it's like, am I really going to go back to find one of these teenage plebeians and explain the situation? Like, hey, young person, I have my ticket, but you weren't around. You were taking a shit or hitting on some person or whatever the hell you were doing. To not zap my ticket, I went into the auditorium. I started to watch the movie that I properly paid for, yet the movie did not register me as being here, and so the movie shut down. I didn't feel like going through that song and fucking dance. So tonight, having learned my goddamn lesson, I strolled back to the concession stand. It took entirely too long to gather someone to zip my fucking digital ticket. They finally did. Then it's like they're trying to tap me, they're trying to zap me, and the thing's not working. You need more brightness, asshole. Yes. And so finally it happens. It took so long. I did not order the beverage that I wanted to order. I went back to my seat, beverageless, and I watched the film, but I might have missed like 30 seconds because when I walked into the auditorium, the opening credits were going on, and it looked like some human body that appeared to be dead was underneath the vehicle, as if they had been working on the vehicle and were now deceased, and Nicolas Cage was running around with these children. So I don't know what I missed, okay? And quite honestly, I don't think I missed much. Maybe the explanation of the mother, where did she go and all this madness? But I don't think I'll go rushing back to the theater to see this one again. I think this is a situation where, what I experienced was fine. There's no need to reenact this situation. So that's it. Go to MikeMessier.com. Pretty much every movie from the last 4, maybe even 5 years, I've reviewed. Most major motion pictures, a lot of non-major pictures, a lot of documentaries, things that I've seen on television, some audiobooks. You can all just put my name and search for the title of the thing you're wondering if I reviewed, and